All right, good. Let's look at the warm-ups, okay? Any questions about these?
Yeah, I'm still trying to put together in my head. So you said the present middle indicative is when the subject does the verb and is affected. So that's the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but then the lexical form of some of these words, if they end with the my, then it's deponent or middle voice. Am I
Right.
not the
So,
field?
no. So if the lexical form ends with my, then it is a middle form,
Okay.
and that is going to mean that there's some way in which the subject performs the action, and is affected by the performance of the action. But yes, so when you translate it, since the subject's performing the action, it'll sound like an active voice verb, right? And that's why Mounce likes to call these deponent verbs active middle passive in form, but active in meaning, right? But all middle voice verbs are active in meaning in some way because the subject does the action, right? So if you look at letter alpha here, akuatai and humen, what is the lexical form of akuatai? Yeah, it's akuo. So that does have an active form for its lexical form, right? And that means that a choice has been made here to use a middle or a passive third singular ending. When it's active, is it transitive? It is. So chances are we've got a truly passive verb here. Now, how would you translate this? Yeah, it is heard, right? It is heard. The it is not doing the hearing, but rather is being heard. So it is heard and humen. Here, this is an in that has to do with in the midst of. So we would translate it as among. It is heard among you. And this is coming from Corinthians. He's berating them for not dealing with sin in their midst. It's actually heard among you that a man has his father's wife. Bad nudes. All right. Gamma, on the other hand, same third singular ending, but its lexical form is erkamai. So it's a middle-only verb form. So I'm not going to try to give that a passive meaning, am I? It'll be something like he is going or coming into the house. Yep. All right. So, anybody have any other questions? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is from Luo. Yeah, so we've been translating luo as to loose, but it can mean to destroy. All right. So what's the what's the translation of this? The places of the evil one are being destroyed. Assuming that we're talking about like right now, right? Are being destroyed. Yep. All right. So Ada kai udani udan apocrinatai. What's the lexical form of apocrinatai? Yeah, apocrine amai. right? That's the lexical form. Lexical form is normally supposed to have an active ending, isn't it? This one doesn't have an active ending in the present, so this is a middle-only form. Mounce would call it deponent. What does it mean, even when it's got its middle endings? To answer. So who's answering? Well, what person and number is Ty? Third singular, right? So he answers, present tense, right? He answers or is answering. So we have Kai. So, and he answers. Now, udani, what is the case of that word? That's dative. This is a third declension form from udes. Remember that? So udes, udemia, uden. No one. So he answered to, or answers to, no one. Uden? What's that? Remember the forms. Udes, udemia, uden. That's nothing. That's a neuter, singular. It's neuter and singular, and it can be nominative or accusative. Okay? Yes, he says nothing to no one, or he answers nothing to no one. So he answers to no one, nothing. How do you like that spelling? Okay.
It must be the original Greek.
That's the original Greek. Yep. I think there was a wall that was discovered, and written on it was Jesus was here. Just like that. Do you think it was a forgery? All right. Should we look at the bigger translations? Let's read this out loud together. Ready? Udes gar dunatai tauta ta semea poien ha su poies eon me e ha theos metautu. Alrighty. So we just looked at udes just a second ago. Is this the nominative, genitive, accusative, or dative form of no one? Udes. Remember your lexical form, you'll know this is nominative, right? And masculine singular. So this is probably the subject, yes? Gar is post positive. I'm going to translate it first, even though it comes second. So, for no one, dunatai is able or can. Those are two ways to gloss dunamai. No one is able or can. Now, over here, this is an infinitive. You haven't learned infinitives yet, but this infinitive goes with be able. That is, no one is able to do. And then tauta tasamea is accusative, direct object of the doing. Yeah, so no one is able to do these signs. Ha su poies. What is ha? Yeah, it's which, that. It's the relative pronoun. Okay, so we've got a relative clause here. What's it modifying? Relative clauses modify things, right? They function like adjectives. It's modifying these signs. It's telling you something about the signs. Remember, relative pronouns are going to have case, gender, and number. What determines the gender and number of the pronoun? What it's referring to. Okay, what's it referring to? Tasamea. That is accusative, plural, neuter, right? So it's plural and neuter. Is ha plural and neuter? That looks plural and neuter, doesn't it? What determines the function of a pronoun? I'm sorry, what determines the case of a pronoun? Its function. Yes. Oh boy, that was the easiest question I've asked all night. Okay, and what function is this? Well, it's accusative function. It's accusative form. What accusative function? It's the direct object inside the relative clause. Su is the subject, poies is the verb, and the pronoun is the direct object. The things which you are doing. You are doing which things. Okay? So, no one can do these signs which you are doing. Aeon, me, a. What did we learn that aeon me means? Unless. Unless or except. Now, this is a form of to be, and it means he, she, or it is. In this case, it's probably going to be he because it's referring to the no one, and the no one is really Jesus in the context, right? Unless he is ha theos. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Unless ha theos met autou. The subject is not the pronoun. We have an actual nominative case noun here. Unless God is with, it's him, right? That's a singular form of autos. So unless God is with him. There you go. All right, let's look at number 10. And we'll go ahead and read this real quickly. Kai hoi matetai ioanu, kai hoi pharisaioi, erchantai, kai legusin, auto, diati, hoi mathetai, ioanu, kai hoi mathetai, ton pharisaion, ne steusin, hoi de, soi mathetai, u ne steusin. And there's a question mark here, right? You got to pay attention to that when it comes to translating this. All right. So, kai hoi mathetai ioanu. What's that mean? And the disciples of John. Kai hoi pharisaioi. And the Pharisees. Both sets of people. Erkantai kai legusin auto. Yep. So, yeah, so here probably come and legusin and say to him. So notice these are both present tense verbs, but this is occurring in a book that's narrative. This is what is often referred to as the historical present. These are present, but I am fairly certain every English translation out there translates these as past. Okay? So you'll probably want to go ahead and translate them as past as well. So came and said to him. And then we have the quotation. Diati. What is that? Yeah, dia is a preposition, and it can take its objects in the genitive and the accusative case. But they're going to have different meanings. Yes, plus the genitive is through, diuretic. Plus the accusative because of, or on account of. So we have to look at T and ask, what case is that? That's accusative and neuter. So it's on account of what? Meaning, what for? Which is another way of saying why. What for? Why? For what reason? On account of what reason? So, why? Hoi mathetai ioanu. Why do the disciples of John, kai hoi mathetai ton pharisaion, and the disciples of the Pharisees, why do those guys ne steusin? Why do they fast? Hoi de soi. So here, de is postpositive, right? But or and. Hoi soy mathetai. Yeah, the to you disciples, meaning your disciples, right? That's a dative of. You would have expected maybe su, omicron upsilon, right? But sometimes the dative is used for possession as well. So, but the disciples to you, u nestusin. But your disciples do not fast. So why do they fast and yours don't?
Why do the disciples and Pharisees refer to themselves in the third person? Why did they come up and say, why do the disciples and Pharisees fast if they're the ones talking?
Yeah, no, good question. I don't know. It might be the case that they're using that third person form in as a way of, I don't know, providing the data from Jesus's perspective, right? Like you think to Jesus, they are those people there, right? The disciples of the Pharisees and John. The other possibility is that what the gospel writer is doing is he's not really reporting the speech exactly the way it came out, but he is framing it true to what they said, but also for the benefit of the listener to process, right? Because to the listener, it's also them, right? Not us. Because, anyhow, there's a switch in person possibly for that reason, right? So it's a good question. I hadn't actually thought about that with this verse. But does all that make sense? Going through the grammar here? Okay.
Semicolon before, right after auto.
Let's see. Where are we looking? Oh, yeah, right here. Uh-huh. Yeah.
But we wouldn't put that in the translation.
Well, you could. In English, though, we don't introduce quotations with a semicolon, which is probably why in the answer key there's not a semicolon there, right? We'll introduce quotations with a colon or a comma and then open the quote. Yep. So for 5 and 6, we won't read the text. We'll just go into translating. So, all right. Yeah. Let's just real quickly get ourselves up to speed. So, hade pilatas. This is ha pilatas, nominative case. So it's likely the subject, right? So, and, but, now, Pilate, pollen, again, eperota, began asking, Alton, him, legon, saying, and then this is a quote, Uk apocrine. What's that? You do not answer. Now, what ending is apocrine with this long eta with the iota subscript? Yeah, second singular. This is the psi with the epsilon before, sigma dropping out intervocalically, contraction, and then the subscript. Okay? So, is this a question? Yes. So you need to put that do in, right? Do you not answer? As opposed to a statement of fact. You don't answer. We could say you don't answer, but then we need to have rising intonation to indicate it's a question. You don't answer? So, and then uden. What gender is that? Uden. Remember? Udes, udemia, uden. That's neuter. Exactly. You don't answer nothing? Or don't you answer anything? Okay.
That's what I like. Is there using a double negative in English?
Right. In Greek, that's perfectly acceptable. Yep. Yep. It doesn't reverse the polarity like it does for English.
I was wondering,
Yeah.
I just stared at it for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My kids like to play with me when I ask them questions with negatives in them. Because they'll answer and I'll think they mean one thing, and they know that I think they mean one thing, and they start laughing, So, yeah, they do. They're nerdy that way. Okay. Number 6. Kai sun agontai hoi apostoloi. So, and the apostles. So what's this? Okay. Well, this is a verb, isn't it? Okay. What's the lexical form? Sun ago. So there's an active form for this. So this is not deponent, using Mounce's terminology, right? So I have a middle passive ending. What does it mean in the active? To gather together. To gather something or someone together. Okay? So, this could have a passive meaning, right? And the apostles... Right. Now, technically this is a present passive indicative, third person plural. But it's a historical present. So that's why we're going to want to translate this as past. So, and the apostles were gathered, prostan Yesun, to Jesus. Kai apengelon, and they told alto. They told him, meaning they said something to him, right? And they told him, announced to him, panta, all, hasa, all that, epoyesan, they did. Kai hasa edidaksan. And the panta is still assumed here, and all that they taught. And all that they taught. Yep. Yep. All right. Good. Any final comments, questions? Burning issues in your translation work?
On that last one, I had translated the word gathered with the answer key. It says gathered.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Now, he doesn't give you... Let's take a look here real quickly. Where is sunago here? So it's I gather together or invite. Like, to me, the meaning he wants you to think of seems to me to be an active and transitive kind of verb use, right? Now, if this is a middle form, and what I've told you is, for now, let's assume passive, but it might be the case that you could also have a middle form, then this would be a good situation where you'd want to check the lexicon and say, okay, if there is a middle use of sunago, what would its meaning be? Could it be that it's an intransitive idea? They gathered, right? So they're bringing themselves together. They gathered to Jesus. They didn't gather rocks to Jesus. They didn't gather some objects toward Jesus. They basically gathered themselves to Jesus, right? As opposed to they were gathered by someone to Jesus. So, right. So if this is middle, you could see that having this sort of a middle idea semantically. So why don't we just look at the lexicon and find out middle uses of sunago, okay?